All right, guys. So let us start. So we were discussing with the React, right? So what I'll do is I'll tell you how to connect with API. Okay, so basically we have APIs. You have to call the APIs for fetching some data from the backend. So you'll be getting the APIs from the backend. So I'll just tell you how to connect it to that API and fetch your data. Okay, so let us start with that. So in the last session, we had discussed about the application, right? So we had this state, right? So what is the use of state variable, guys? Like we have seen with React now, like how to create the state variable, how to update the value, all these things we have discussed. Now I'm just going to tell you how to fetch data which is present somewhere. Okay, so how to fetch it from external source. So basically you will get it from the database. Okay, you'll be creating the APIs and we'll see how to connect to it and get the data. Okay, so since we are not much into databases, we will be we'll be fetching it through APIs. Okay, so all the data which is present in your database will be fetched through this API. Okay, so I'll show you some mock APIs which you can use as a beginner. Okay, so you can use this JSON placeholder type code. Okay, this is a mock API. Okay, this is a REST API basically. So I'll tell you how to connect to a REST API and how to fetch the data. Okay, now let us say you have albums here. So we'll not use albums. Maybe we can use all right. So we can use this data. Okay, so if I want to see what is a username, email, and address. Okay, so let us say this data is pulled from a database. Okay, it's a mock API. So this data will be pulled from a database. Okay, so let us see how to make a request to this and fetch the data. Okay, so just copy this one. We need only this data. Okay, we will create a component for that in React. So let us say I'm going to create a user API.js. Okay, so the same thing, I'm going to use React here. Okay, and the use state hook. Okay, so import use state from React. So last time, like we have seen how to create the state variable, right? So if you remember how to create the state variables, so we have created count. Count is a state variable, and set count is a method which can update it, right? So the same way we're going to work with. So go back to your API application, write a component. So I'm writing a functional component. Let us call it as user API. And we are going to create a state variable. Okay, so I'm going to create a state variable. Let us say it's user data. Okay, and I'm going to have a method called as set user data. Okay, and let the initial state be an empty array. Okay, so I'm going to use state and it's going to be an empty array. Okay, save this and also check what data the API is going to give. So I'm going to make a request to this API and it is going to give me the result, this data as a result, which is nothing but some array of object. Okay, so this is what we are going to do now. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to return some JSX. Okay, so when you click some button, you're going to get that data. Okay, so I'll just give user information. Okay, so this is the this is just a heading which I'm going to display and just export this component. And put it to your index. We are rendering it from index.js, right? Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just comment all these things. I'll just put only one component here. So how to comment in React is you just give /* and a //. Okay, up to wherever you want to comment. And also make sure you enclose this within a curly braces. Okay, I'm just going to enclose this within a curly braces. So this part of your code won't be executed. Okay, so this will be skipped from the execution. So let it be there. Okay, and we are going to render that component. So what was the new component we have created? Your user API component, right? So user API component, render it in your index.js, save this and run your project. Let the application start. So you got this user information, right? Now, I'm not going to hard code any data within my application. It's going to fetch that from the API. Okay, so API is like a middleware, okay, which is going to fetch the data from your DB. Okay, so this is a mock API. Okay, this is the data which you're going to fetch to our front-end application, right? Now go back to your API application, right? Now what I'm going to do is, we are going to create a button. Once I click that button, I want to fetch that data from that API and store it to this state information user data and again put it to our result. Okay, so I'll just give a button. Okay, I'll just give it as fetch. Okay, it's like displaying all the user information. Okay, let us say display users. Okay, I'll just give display, save this. Now we can also create our own API according to the data. Yes, Ravi, we can also create it. Okay, so we can also create it. For that, like you'll be using some ODMs or ORMs. Okay, but you can also create it. But as a beginner, first you have to know like how to fetch it from your React application.
So,
okay,
so for the
yeah, please go on.
Yeah, ma'am. So for the creation of API, we need to know the database or something else, like.
Yeah, we have to do the ODM, like it's dependent. In case if you're working with a project where you have JDBC, let us say you have Java database connectivity, like you'll be using a different DB. If it is Node, maybe you'll be using Mongo or MySQL. It depends on what database you're using. Okay, so I'll also show one simple example. How do you create your own API? Okay, like how do you get the request? I'll also show once this is done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So it's basically, yeah. So yeah, here what I'm going to do is I'm going to give an on-click event, right? And we are going to invoke a function which is going to call the API and update it to our state variable here. Okay, so why I'm focusing much on the front end part is that, guys, backend is very, very simple. Okay, once you get this, once you understand how to develop the UI, how to connect it with your backend, it's all simple. Learning your backend, creating routes and databases, it's easy nowadays. Okay, because ODMs are way easier than you think. Like when you go for JDBC or Java database connectivity, it's somewhat you have to write the driver codes and all. But mostly there are some predefined functions you can have in your MongoDB. I'll also show you from where you can do it. Okay, I'll show you how to connect it to your MongoDB. What is MongoDB Atlas? I'll just give you an idea. So you can go back and you can see how to create your databases and all. Okay, it's very simple. Creating databases in Atlas is very, very easy. Okay, so now let us focus like how to fetch the data. In case if you're working as a front-end developer, right? So they will be giving you the API. Okay, so what is a backend which is built? They will give you. Your work is to fetch that data from the API. Okay, the API will give you all the data and just you are going to use that data to create the UI application. So mostly this is the work we will get most of the time. Okay, even if you are a full stack developer, a 70% of the work is with your front end. Okay, so 30% of your work will be with your back end. Guys, can you please mute yourself? Yeah. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. In case if you don't have, please make sure you're on mute. Hemant, do you have any doubts? Okay, all right.
Butter on click function is what is the use of this function?
Yes, Lakshay, I'll do it. See, you are going to create a button on the UI. Okay, so where is the React application? Yeah. So you got this button, right? So once you click the button, you have to display the information, right? So you want to display all the users, you can just give display. It's going to fetch the data from that API and show it to your UI. Okay, so we have to write a code here. We have to invoke that API and we'll see how to call that API and get the result. So on click is an event. Okay, like you're clicking on this, right? So when I click it, it should call that API and it should be got here, right? The data will be got here and it is going to display. How can we understand the concept of anything? Let's say JS, more of the code, strings and all. Shall we remember everything? Prabhu, like you don't need to remember anything actually. Okay, like it's all comes with practice. That is what I believe. Okay, it's not like this is a method, this is going to come. It's all comes with practice. Okay, have that in mind. Anyone who's going to learn anything new in IT, okay, if you decide that you want to come in IT, you want to learn something, even today I can go and learn a new technology or a language. Okay, what I will be focusing more is I would not rather focus more on learning, but I would rather focus more on practicing it, right? I'll try to do new projects so that I can like think and understand where to apply what. That is very important for a programmer. Remembering everything is not a cup of tea for a programmer. Okay, that is what I believe. Okay, just you have to be think analytical. You have to know where to put what. Okay, that's more than enough. We cannot remember everything. It comes with practice. Okay, once you go to your project, once you build an application, even if you don't need to go to project, you take one scenario, you take one feature in a website which you see mostly, right? We are using a lot of websites nowadays, right? Like let us say you have Zomato, you have Swiggy. There are a lot of features there, right? So you try to take one feature, try to build it, you will get through it. Okay, so you don't need to remember anything. That is what I will suggest. Okay, Prabhu, is it fine? All right. So let me resume back here, guys. Okay. So when you're clicking this button, yeah.
For practice, we need to remember the functions and all that, na? When we type, if we have in our memory div tag, that's then only we can practice, na, these things.
It's not more with memory. Once you start doing it, you know, like it is an involuntary act, I say. Okay, like even you don't need to think, it will come as a flow. That is what I expect. That is what I suggest you people. Okay, don't learn something in order to remember it. Okay, you learn something to apply it, that will be different. You try this and see. You like you what you say is logically right. Without keeping that in memory, it won't come out. That's completely fine. But just keeping it in memory won't help you anyways. That is what I'm meaning. Okay. You do first time, you do second time, you have to remember. But when you do it for the third time or the fourth time, it should be an involuntary act. It should come automatically. Okay, got it, Lakshay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. See, guys, like one small tip I'll give you. Okay, you're learning something, don't learn it for a sake. Okay, just okay, you have learned this concept, that's it. Okay, you're not behind 10 years, right? We are advanced a lot of things. You're using a lot of applications. You can make a thought process, why should I not develop this feature? You don't need to work for a company, you don't need to do for anyone. But initially, you are a learner. Okay, you are in the learning phase. Take some feature, do some research on it, right? So logically think what can be applied for this. In case if you're not getting, you have a lot of resources online nowadays, right? So you can just go back, just sit and do some research, how to do it. Try you yourself do it, you will get it fine. Okay, so that is what I believe. Okay, that is what that is what you have to do. Okay, please don't remember anything. Don't keep it in mind at all. Okay, just apply it. Okay, analysis and application is very important. Ma'am, I learned front end 2 or 3 times, but still I have not remembered. Yes, Ravi. See, that is what I'm telling. You are using, let us say, what is the application you use daily? daily use that application, any application like that. It can be Instagram, it can be Gmail, it can be anything. Let us say you are having this India Today news application, okay, the web application. So what are the features you will be using mostly? You try to implement that. You also write it down on a paper, see it and do. I never mind it. Okay, that is not important. Okay, like this person knows all the 100 tags in HTML. This person knows CSS, everything, every properties in CSS is not people are expecting for. Okay, basically, basic things you should remember. Okay, it's not that everyone should have it fingertip. It's not like that. Even you can write it on a paper and apply it. Okay, you will know where to apply what. That's more than enough. Okay, when you do the project, you will get it. Okay, that's exactly what I meant, Ravi.
So, ma'am, for the interview purpose, we have to know all the things, right? Or just a basic thing is okay for the interview?
In interviews, first you have to maintain a good portfolio. Okay, that is the first thing. I'm talking about the initial thing. Okay, you have a resume. You want someone to shortlist your resume and enter to the next step. Okay, as far as full stack development, okay, I'm talking in terms of full stack. First thing is, if I am an interviewer, if I am a recruiter, I'll be expecting for some portfolio projects. Okay, like I would expect the candidate to have. Guys, please make yourself on mute. Hello? If in case you're not talking. Heyman, do you want to ask anything? Okay, fine. Yeah, so what I was telling you, have a good portfolio. Okay, that is the first thing. Okay, in the beginning itself, in 1 or 2 weeks, you won't get anything. That is what I strongly suggest. Okay, don't have the intention. We have to get it in very short-term goal. Don't have any short-term goals. Okay, build your portfolio, build nice projects. Once you do it, involuntarily, you'll know everything. That is what I'm meaning. Okay, you don't need to study separately for interview, separately for project. Once you do project, you will become expertise with everything. Because if you do one feature, you didn't get it, you will try the next approach. If it's not working, you'll try the next approach. In these 3 things, you are learning something. Okay, it's not that it's not working, you're learning something. If it's not working, you're learning something. Go for the next. So that is how you're learning more. That will really help you for interview. Okay, you should know the basics. Okay, someone is telling the basics, somewhere you're learning it. Okay, you're trying out. At last, you achieve it. That phase entirely you're learning. Okay, it's not like you're trying, it's not coming out, it's not working out. Okay, if you do like this, sit and work like this for 6 months, I'm damn sure you can crack a very good job, at least 6 LPA as a full stack developer or at least as a front-end developer. Okay, so practice it like that, work like that. Another question. Today is the last session that we're conducting today. What else after? If I want to continue through this journey with your mentorship, how will it work? Like fee structures or other thing. Guys, you can talk about the course details. I think Divya and Zamir is here. They could help you on that. Divya ma'am and Zamir, can you please guide the student on what to do next? I think his name is Prabhu.
Hello, Zamir, are you there? Prabodh, we will get back to you regarding this later. Is that fine? Prabodh?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'll wait, no problem.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Guys, everything the team will get back to you. Okay, it's a boot camp. Okay, we are not we are not focusing that part. Okay, so all the details, all the other things will be given to you soon, okay, by the team. So let us discuss on these topics. Okay, let us get into the technical thing. Whatever details you need regarding the course content, the fee structure, whatever queries you have with course, the team will get back to you soon. Okay, so let us complete this application, and the other things will be shortly intimated. All right, guys. So yeah, let us quickly complete it. We have a very short time, right? So yeah, so we have the button on click, right? So when I click that button, I'm going to call that API and fetch the data. Okay, as simple as that. So I'm going to write a function to set that data. Okay, so I'll call it as handle API. Okay, and we have to define that function here. Okay, so I'm going to write function handle API. And within this, I'm going to call my API. Okay, so the API is whatever link I have given, right? So for using that for fetching the data from your API, you have to install a package. Okay, we call it as XUS, okay, or you can call it as Axios, anything. So you have to install that through your NPM first. So install it. So I'm just giving NPM install XUS. So with this package, we are going to call that API. Okay, as simple as that. Now what I do is, I think its installation is done. Now you have to import that XUS to your project. So import XUS from XUS. It's also present in the XUS package. Okay. Now I'm going to call that XUS from this handle API function. Okay. So once I click that button, okay, it's going to call this function. From this function, we are going to call the XUS. Okay, so let me explain you what is XUS. So XUS has many methods which can talk to the backend, okay, for fetching the data. So one such method is a get method. Okay, so just give a get method, XUS.get, and give the API link. Okay, it can be anything. In case if you are developing your own API in your future, you can give that thing here. So what is the server domain and what is the like port it is listening to, all the details you can give it here. Now, in this case, I'm just talking to a mock API, right? So I'm just going to give the HTTP API link here. Okay, so just give that in your get method and give dot then. Okay, there is a method called as then. So what this then method will do is whatever request you're giving, maybe in the very first class, I would have explained you what is a HTTP structure, right? So HTTP structure is like you are giving the request through your browser, and the browser is the one who is responsible for getting back the response from an API or from databases or anything. So this will act like your request, and in case if this is working fine, if everything is correct here, your domain name, all the URL is right, what it will do is it is going to give you a response in the then part. Okay, so here you are going to get the response. Okay, and it is going to be an arrow function. See, and then is a function. Okay, then is a function, right? It's with the function symbol. Then itself will take one another function as an input. Okay, so we call it as an arrow function. Okay, so what you can write is you can also write it like this. Inside this, you can write function. You can give some function name here. Okay, but in ES6, it won't be supported. So what you can do is you can just write the open close bracket. Okay, give an arrow. That's it. Okay, so what is the meaning of this is? This is a function which is written inside a then function. Okay, what this function will receive as an input by default is the response. So whatever response is received from here, it will be passed down here. So let us console log and see what is the response. Okay, so this is with your then method. Okay, I'll tell what to do in future, guys. Okay, I'll tell you what to do. Now, what I do is I'll just give dot catch. Okay, this is like a exception handler. Okay, it's going to do the exception handling. In case if you have any problems with the server, if it is not found, or if the domain name, if anything goes wrong, you can handle that in the catch block. Okay, so I'll just take the error here. The same thing. Okay, then is receiving an input, right? Then is receiving a function as an input. The same way catch will also receive another function as an input. So I'm taking the error here, and this name you can give anything. Okay, I have given it as res here. I have given it as ERR here. You can use any name. Okay, so just, you will not get any errors mostly. In case if you get the errors, you can console log and see it. Okay, I'm just saving this. Go back to your application. Okay, now I'm clicking on the button. You won't get anything on the output because we didn't render anything out. But if you see your console, okay, error in connection establishment. Why the connection has refused? Okay. Just a minute. I'll just test this, whether it's calling this function or not. Okay, I stopped the server, right? I think that is a problem because after stopping only I had installed the XOS. So we have to run it again. So I think this would work fine. Right, so I'll just go to the console. Okay, I'm just clicking on the button. Can you see here? It's giving an array as a result. Can you see? It's giving some result. Inside that data, you're having all the data as an array. Okay, so the response is my object. So from that response, I just want this data. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just console log my response.data here because it's an object. Okay, response is an object. Save it. You go back to the application. Refresh. Call it again. Now, can you see it's giving only those 10 array as a result? Okay. Now, what you have to do next, you should not console log this. You're just going to set this data to your state variable. So we already know how to set it to the state variable. You have to use the set user data method. Okay, so just call your set user data method. And I'm going to pass response.data and set my state variable. Okay, so it's going to set the data, whatever you have received from that API to your state variable. Now from that state variable, you have to display it, right? But whatever result I'm getting, what type of result it's giving, guys? Like if you see the API, you see it's an array of object. Okay, array means it's a collection of data. So you cannot directly access the elements. You have to use a loop, okay, like for loops or some method which can iterate the element one by one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so where the data is present, the data is present inside this user data, right? So I'm just going to give user data and there is a method called as map. Okay, dot map. What this map will do is it's like a for loop. Okay, it's like an iteration which will iterate on each object and show whatever information you want. Okay, so this map will also take an arrow function as an input. Okay, and every time each item will be coming. Okay, so each item in the sense, like you here I have one person's data, right? And here I have the other person's data, right? So each object, right? So each object you have to iterate. From that object, if you want to know the username and the email, okay, let us say I just want to display the username and the email. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to access the each object because this is one object. You have another object, you have to repeat for how many number of objects you want, right? So I'll just give here, okay, I'm going to return a div tag. Okay, I'm going to return a JSX here basically, which is going to show the username and the, what else we want? Username and the email, right? So I am going to write one h1. Now I'll give in curly braces because it's an JavaScript variable, right? So you're just going to give item.username. Okay. So it was username, right? Give the same name from your API. Okay. So it's username and save your code. Go back to your application. In case if I give display, see, It's giving the whatever data the API has given, it is giving all the username. So from that, whatever you want, you can display. Okay, so let us say I have username here, right? So I can also give a h2 tag. Okay, if I want to display the email ID, I can just give item.email. Save this, go back to your application. You can see it's also giving you the email ID. Is it clear, guys? So this is how you generally, you will have your APIs, okay? You will get it from the backend team, where you will get what is the server, what is the IP where it is working. The same thing you get. So your work is to just call that API, fetch the data and show it to your UI. Okay, guys? Is it clear?
Ma'am, please, explain that XGS part. What is that XGS.get?
Yeah. So X, like since we are making a HTTP request, right? So what XUS will do is XUS is a package. Okay, it's an npm package which can make a HTTP request and get a response as a output. Okay. So whatever API you create, even with the backend, it will give you a response as an array of objects. Okay, so we have already seen objects, but what an array of objects is, you have more than one object. Okay, so we call it as a JSON format. This format, we call it as a JSON. See, it's an array. Okay, whichever is there in the square bracket, it's an array. Within that, you have all the objects, right? So this is what we call it as JSON object. So the response will be in a JSON format. So if you want that, okay, you want to make a request to the API and get a JSON format as a result, we have to use XUS. Okay, so just give XUS. We have imported XUS, right? So XUS has three consecutive methods. Okay, one is get, one is then, and one is catch. Okay, all the three things are consecutive. Okay, so XUS.get, you have to give the API link. So what is the API link I have created? The API, like this is the API. Okay, this is a mock API. You just take the HTTP URL. Okay, now what is the meaning of this get is it will make the request to that API. Okay, it will make a request. Now what that API should give me as a result? What that API should be?
That array.
It should give that array, right? That is your JSON data. It's going to give me that JSON data as a result. And we have to set that JSON data to a state variable. Okay, so whatever you are going to get as a response, it will be handled by this then method. So it cannot directly take the input. Okay, so it is like a callback. Okay, we call it as a callback. So a function having another function is a callback. Okay, so then is a function. Within that, I write another function, an arrow function. So just write brackets and a arrow. Okay, this function will receive that response. So whatever response you get from this URL will be passed to this arrow function. And what I'm doing from that response, the response is basically your objects. Okay, from that, where your where your data will be lying is inside your response.data. So you're just taking that response.data and set it to your state variable. So what is the state variable here? User data. If I want to update any value to this user data, you can only do it with the set user data. Okay, so I'm calling the set user data method and the data. Okay, the response, whatever you have received, response.data, I'm setting to this user data. Okay, if there is any error, it will be handled by the third part, that is your catch block. And catch block also takes an arrow function as an input. Okay, and it will take an error. In case if there is any error, it will be passed here. And if you want, you can debug it by console logging. So once I click this button, it's going to call this API, and whatever results you get from here, it is set to the state variable. Okay, after that, I'm using a map function. Okay, because it's not a direct object. If it's a direct object, you can use dot operator and you can print it. But since it's an array, we have to use a map function. Okay, so what map will do is it will take each item every time. Okay, just like a function. From that item, whatever property you want, you can just display. So this is one object. So item will be one object. So item.name first time, item.username. The next time what will happen is going to give the next data. Right? So that is what your map function will do automatically. Is it clear?
Got it, ma'am.
All right, guys. So any doubts with this?
Ma'am, what will map function will do?
Map function is like a for loop. Like, you know, for loops in other programming languages. Map will iterate on object one at a time. Okay, like whatever JSON you have, the JSON is an array. Okay, so array in the sense I have 10 objects here. So if you just directly access it, it won't work. Okay, you have to do it for all the 10 objects like an automation. Okay, one object is done, you have to go to the next user, right? So this object is Brent. The next one is Antonette, right? Samantha, right? So all these values, you have to iterate one at a time. So for that, we are using a map function. Mostly whatever data you fetch from the backend, it will be in JSON format, guys. Okay, for fetching the data, you'll be using map. Okay, the map will take an arrow function as an input. Okay, it should take every item at a time. See here, how many users data you're having here? I think at least 10 users data you'll have it here. So did I write anything? Did I repeat for 10 users? Did I write for all the 10 users? I have to print username, email. Did we do it? We didn't do it, right? But it's automatically done. It's iterating every time. So that we are using the map method.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
if you want to print certain amount of data, then how map will fetch? If there is a lot of data and among all, I have to just fetch the 5 to 10 minutes. So
yes,
it's
Ravi.
quite
So
difficult.
that's a good question. See, in case if you want to search based on the say first name, okay, you want to display the user's name. Let us say Brent. Okay, maybe the first name will be same for many people. So you can create a text box here. Okay, you can give that input as Brent. Okay, take that input. There are few methods. I'll tell you the list of methods which you can learn from JavaScript. One is find. Okay, one is filter. Okay, so what filter will do is filter will base whatever data I have. Say I have 10 data. Based on certain conditions, you can filter the data. Only that data you can display. Okay, so just like your map, we have many other methods. Okay, we call it as transform functions. If you have time, transform methods in array. Okay, so using these methods, you can achieve that behavior. Okay, I can give Brent if I'm searching for Brent, or if I'm searching for some data. Okay, here if you see, you have the, let us say you have some city. Okay, let us say I have a city, Chennai. Okay, now you can search based on that input alone, right? So whatever data you're searching, that is Chennai, it can give that result only. Okay, for that we'll be using a filter method. Okay, there are methods, there are many methods with arrays. You can just go and learn like what are the methods which you want to implement. Is it clear?
So ma'am, everything we can use in React, means everything of the JavaScripts we can use in the React.
Yes, yes.
After
See,
importing
React
the
itself, it's a JavaScript library only, right? But it will support only ES6 conventions. Okay, I cannot say it can support everything, but behind, for building this application itself, they would have used almost everything from JavaScript. Okay, but like mostly we will be using all the ES6 conventions. Okay, like this arrow functions, you have classes, you have prototypes, you have closures, all these things we'll be using in React.
Yeah, okay. Means we can say it's an updated version of the JavaScript, right?
ES6, yeah. ES6 is the current version of JavaScript, which we are using with React.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I'll just push this code to your repository. Okay, I'll just update your repo once again. I'll give you the Google Drive link to your coordinators. They will share it with you. In case if you have any doubts, you can get back to the team. They'll redirect you to me. Okay, so in case if you have any doubts, reach out to the team, guys. Okay, we'll also see to if I can have one-on-one discussion with you to solve all your queries. Right? Is it all clear, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So if you have any doubts, you can always reach us to us, guys. Okay, we will have one-on-one discussion and we can sort out all your queries. Okay. So I think Divya ma'am, I'm done with the session. If you have anything to discuss with the students. Can you please take over? I'll wind up for today. Divya ma'am, am I audible?
Hello.
Yes, Divya ma'am. So I'm done with my session, Divya ma'am. So I'll wind up for today if everything is fine.
Yeah, guys, if you got any doubts, please contact me. I can arrange one-to-one session with the Jam ma'am, okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right,
Ma'am,
guys. So thank you.
soft skills class is there today or not?
We'll let you know in few minutes, okay? Please stay. Hello guys, there is no session, soft skill session today. You can wind up for the day. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.